Hi, I'm your host, Henry Clavo, CEO and founder of Orlando Insight Group. So each episode, we dive into real conversation, technology leaders, innovators, and experts who are shaping the future of IT, data, and cybersecurities and thought leadership. Our goal is simple to give you practical insights, real world strategies, and expert perspective that you can use to drive smarter decisions and stronger results for your business. And today's guest we have is Megan Bowers, is a data community leader who brings together technical expertise, storytelling, and passion for helping others grow in their careers. As the data community manager at Prophecy, she leads community engagement initiatives and develops technical content that helps data professionals learn, connect, and succeed. Prior to Prophecy, Megan held roles at Alteryx as a data journalist and content manager, where she translated complex data concepts into accessible and engaging stories. She also brings hands-on experience in analytics and data engineering from her time at Stanley Black& Decker, building ETL pipelines, dashboards, and data solutions that supported business decision making. Today, Megan sits at the intersection of data, education, and community, helping shape the future of modern data ecosystems. So, Megan, welcome to the Orlando Insights podcast. How are you today?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Busy week, but looking forward to this conversation. So we could get started.
Yeah.
You had a really interesting transition from hands-on analytics work into community and storytelling. What originally pulled you into that data world?
Yeah, so what got me into the data world originally was really my educational background is in industrial engineering,
Mm,
and it's pretty broad. So I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do post college. I tried technical consulting for a bit, but just kind of evaluating after that what I wanted to do next, I realized that a lot of the projects that I worked on that I enjoyed the most um, were ones where I got to analyze data, whether it was like in Excel or learning about Tableau or, you know, I really enjoyed those projects in engineering where I got to just like be on my laptop analyzing data. And so that's why I decided to like pivot a little bit more into data analytics. Because I knew like I enjoyed that. I kind of liked being a little bit behind the scenes versus like out on the engineering manufacturing floor. So that
mm.
was kind of what made me make that original transition into data.
Uh, yeah, that sort of reminded me of myself when I started healthcare. Like, oh, I'm working on SQL. I'm very good at this. Oh, I could see myself doing this long term. So it's very exciting,
Yeah.
like hearing those stories. Was there a moment where you realized communication and storytelling were just as important as the technical side of data?
Yeah, I think at my first role at Stanley Black& Decker, um, I was building Alteryx workflows, building automation for data processes, and I would complete that and it'd be a ton of work to get all the data from all the systems. There's like a million different systems and ERPs and everything there. And so it was a lot of work to get to that, clean table or multiple tables at the end. But then realizing that, moving from that to building a dashboard or working with others on the team to build a dashboard, it was like all of that work didn't really mean anything if we couldn't like build a good dashboard, tell a story, like explain why these results were impactful to the business or explain why these could guide decisions or like just even laying out the data in a way that was easy to consume and understand versus just dumping tables onto a dashboard or whatever like which some stakeholders like to just they're just like give me the data tables. But regardless, I think like that experience of like building out those first dashboards or working with others on the team is what really showed me the importance of not just getting to the right answer but communicating it well so that that dashboard is something that is actually used, because otherwise like a lot of companies have so many dashboards that just kind of sit there and someone put a lot of time into like getting the data into there, but if it's not 100% what's needed, or if it doesn't really answer the questions, tell a story, then it's not super useful in the end at the end of the day. is what I ended up learning. I don't know
I
if you've had a similar experience, but
I can relate building stuff from scratch and then knowing that it's not being used. Even worse, there's no tracking on the
mm,
use of dashboards. Now that we solved that problem with AI agents, but from your response, I take it you enjoy more the collaboration, the storytelling, and being able to express that idea as opposed to working behind the scenes.
yeah, I mean, I think to some extent, I think it's just like the more rewarding part. I still like the solving problems behind the scenes, that can be rewarding too, but like when you're actually talking to people and they're like, oh, this is, this is what I needed. This is what I need for my weekly meeting, or this is what we need to be able to make better decisions about our suppliers, whatever. Like that is the more, that's what like keeps you enjoying your job, I think, at the end of the day. But I still like solving the problems behind the scene, but I've kind of leaned more into the communication aspect, I guess, and working more with
I'm the
people.
complete opposite, but I
Yeah, to
really,
each their own.
I really love like can I use this complex process on my LLM? This would be really cool. I'm excited.
Yeah,
So,
you definitely need both people because like you need someone to really dive deep and just like 8 hours, just really get into the problem solving and code and whatnot. But that's not the path I took.
coming from an industrial engineering background, how did that shape the way you approach analytics or problem solving today?
Yeah, I mean, for those that aren't familiar with industrial engineering, it's kind of like right in between engineering and business. So, common misconception is that it's like building buildings or something, but it's really like making processes more efficient, improving manufacturing, streamlining business processes and increasing productivity, all things like that. So there's a lot of focus on problem solving, a lot of focus on automation or like process improvement. And so I think like a lot of those concepts transition nicely into data work,
Mm,
especially, we had several classes where we talked a lot about root cause analysis and this thing called the 5 whys, which is just asking why 5 times in a row to get
yeah.
to the root cause. It's like not rocket science, but those skills of problem solving and root cause analysis definitely are huge for analytics work. Getting to like the actual root issue when you're troubleshooting, or getting into, root cause of why things aren't matching expectations, or yeah, just like improving data processes as well. um, I think that, and kind of like that having that bent towards automation. So I would say there's a lot that translates over. And in fact, after I graduated, they ended up adding a few data analytics classes the next year. So I was like, oh, okay, this actually is pretty related. I just was, slightly ahead of the education curriculum, you could say. Um, but yeah, a lot of overlap, and I know others that have gone into data from industrial engineering.
Funny you mentioned that. 10 years ago, they would call it a statistical analyst to now a data science person. So these
Yeah,
skills have been around since the beginning, so it makes sense.
yeah,
But
totally.
you have an advantage over other people because you mentioned 5 whys. I'm currently implementing a solution in 5 whys. I never understood 5 whys until I looked it up and wow, oh, okay. We have an issue with the pipeline.
Yeah, definitely like a simple but powerful
Yeah.
tool. Uh,
Now, the next question is for people unfamiliar with prophecy, how would you describe what the company is trying to solve in the modern data ecosystem?
yeah, totally. So a lot of companies, a lot of organizations have made investments into Snowflake, Databricks, BigQuery, cloud data warehouses to store all their data.
Hmm.
But the problem is, business business users, analysts can't always just jump right in there and develop a pipeline, or, you know, code in SQL, especially people close that sit closer to the business. So prophecy is really like bridging that gap and helping companies like make the most of all of their data and the investment they've made by providing a platform where business users and analysts can develop visual pipelines to do data prep and analysis. But what sets Prophecy apart is just like the AI agents integrated into all sorts of, or all different parts of the product. So there's like a transformation agent that can build those logical steps for you and you can review. And there's documentation agent that creates really nice documentation. And yeah, the AI features are just really integrated to speed up that process, but the analyst can still look at it step by step and see how their data is moving through the transformations, similar to Alteryx if people are familiar, so that you can like be sure that the AI is doing the right thing and doing what you want. So
Interesting. I have a question in regards. Do you do tracking with Lineage and the source of truth through Prophecy, or an agent's be able to build a visualization from it?
Yeah. So for the enterprise version, it does have Lineage. And in fact, there's some cool demos that we have super recently of like demoing the data onboarding process where, bringing tables and sources from, or bringing tables from multiple sources and pulling them all together, and like the lineage tracking of where everything originated, using AI to streamline that. And then it learns and knows how to onboard your data the next time. And so, yeah, it does have those features for sure integrated. And there's like, everything is stored as code in Git. And so there's like some nice, kind of like best practices for software features while still being a tool that like business users and data analysts can use, like spreadsheet people is what I think of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. You have these ecosystems that are friendly to analysts, and then, but not friendly for, yeah, it's friendly for developers, but not friendly for analysts. So they need help and support with these no-code, low-code solutions. Are they able?
And
Go ahead.
sorry. And it just kind of like goes both ways too. Of you can have a solution for analysts that's, whether it's Excel or some sort of low code thing, but then the data engineers aren't happy because it's all trapped in there and it's like, what is this? What is this XML, or what is this? So that's like the other part of Prophecy that I like, is that it actually, is stored as code so that like both parties are happy. Because that can be hard to balance for sure.
Course. And I'm sure you have connectors for many of the, I guess, popular applications like Google Sheets, Excel, all those good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Like people's data always is sitting in a million different places. So there's a bunch of connectors to bring it all together.
Awesome. And I'm curious, what excites you most about the role as data community manager at Prophecy right now?
Yeah, I mean, Prophecy's a startup, so I've been getting to do like a lot of different things, not just community. But like obviously starting up a new community, being in charge of the platform is just fun to get to make those decisions and run a hackathon, and like it's fun to be kind of the owner of that. And then I would say like recently I've been doing some more like content creation, whether that's product demos or a little bit more writing. And I just think, where we're at right now, like there's just opportunity to like create a lot of impact with, these first content pieces as we have like new features, or as we like make our product more for data analysts. That's been fun to do. And I mean, I'm excited to go to some more conferences this year and just talking to people on community, like seeing the cool things that people are doing with AI, and just meeting people and talking to people as like the role of, I think, data analyst evolves with AI. It's fun to be in a position where I can like have those conversations, whether it's on Reddit or LinkedIn or on our community. So that's what I'm enjoying.
Awesome. And when do these updates come to the Prophecy website? So are audience can check out your writing, your work, and the latest features in the Prophecy product line?
Oh, yeah, they can they can go to the community site, which is community.prophecy.ai, and every month or every 3 weeks we have a post from our SVP of products about like the latest features, and then like our YouTube channel is the other place you can kind of go to see some of my content in terms of like some of the demo videos I've worked on, along with demo videos from other people on our team to see the latest stuff in action. So,
yeah. You're managing community strategy, hackathons, technical content, as you mentioned, and product demos. How do you balance being technical while also being authentic community engagement, building authentic community engagement?
Yeah. Yeah, when I saw this question, I was kind of thinking that I guess like authentic engagement is technical in nature for this kind of community. So it kind of goes hand in hand. Like, I don't know, my authentic self loves data, I would say. And like having engagement on the community is going to involve, what did you do with your use case, or how did you solve this, or tell me like what AI features you're liking, or which LLM you prefer. It's it goes hand in hand. I don't think it's like an either or thing. It's a technical community and there are lots of great ones out there. So that's kind of how I see it. Yeah.
And what trends are you seeing from data engineers and analytics professionals in the community today? So what does that look like right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time on Reddit, which is fun. There's a lot of people asking, like both analysts and data engineers asking, how are you guys actually using AI? Obviously, it's like top of mind for a lot of people at their companies. There's a lot more top level, what's the word? I don't know, top level commands. I'm blanking on the word, initiatives, whatever, to use AI in your work. And everybody's talking about new tools and everything. So I think that's a big conversation of, yeah, there's all these tools, there's all this marketing out there, but you as an analyst or you as a data engineer, what are you actually doing with it, and like what's actually working? Definitely seen a lot of conversations around, bits and pieces, like using Claude code to write SQL, or using it to create all their documentation, or kind of picking and choosing with their expertise, like where AI is going to help their processes. But not seeing a ton of people like offboarding all their work to AI in those roles for sure. And then I've seen a lot of conversations. I just was looking at one today around, with AI, like, is it still worth getting into data analytics or getting into data engineering? And there's mixed answers out there for sure. I answered one question this morning where I'm like, I think that there's still a lot of value, especially like for analysts getting into roles where it's like product data analyst, or marketing data analyst, or RevOps analyst, where not only like you're an embedded data analyst where you're learning the business context and like you're learning about the business alongside doing analytics to kind of like make yourself more valuable, or like, future proof a bit. Like as you get more AI tools, it's going to automate more of your job, but people are still going to be like, how do you know it's right? Or how do you know what that tool produced is correct, or what we need? And so you're still going to need that like discernment and knowledge that I think you get from being like more embedded in the business. So that's what I'll say for data analysts. For data engineering, I'm not like quite as close to that, but in my mind, data engineering, like you need data engineers more than ever to get the data pipeline set up so you even can use AI. But that's just my perspective.
I'll give you a secret. All the greatest or the best technical engineers in Google Anthropic, you name it, they're all using AI to code. So it's
Well,
not a
yeah.
and it boggles my mind that still people are doing coding tests where, well, if you don't know the basics, obviously you have no, you can't develop a product, obviously. But just knowing the basics and be able to use AI to orchestrate, as a famous person on LinkedIn, Sadie, would say, you'll be able to manage multiple agents and predict and handle that workflow as employees, as they say.
Yeah, makes sense.
And AI is changing the analytics space quickly. What conversations are happening inside communities around AI adoption and trust? I'm curious to hear about, with AI slop, a lot of AI responses. How are you handling it, and how is prophecy look towards it?
Yeah, I think like for people who are data analysts, there's already that desire and skill to validate your analysis at each step. Like that's
Mhm.
something that's a skill that analysts need to have, before we had all this AI. And I think it's the same skill that they need to have and that they do have to validate AI. And kind of how we think about it at Prophecy is really just surfacing like the logic that AI creates in a visual way that's easy to understand. So you can like, click through the different steps and see your data. Here it is before this transformation. Here it is after this transformation. Here's what the transformation looks like. Oh, you can also see like the SQL code, but you can also see it in, a slightly more easy to understand way if you're more familiar with Excel or things like that. And so, yeah, I think that like having that AI agent interface where you can chat, get the answer, it builds something is great. But then the trust piece comes from, oh, it's actually producing these artifacts that you can review at each step. And it's not just this huge chunk of code generated by Claude, where, if you give me that, I'm not really going to know what to do with it. A data engineer would, or maybe someone who's like an analytics engineer. But even then, it's really nice to have like the ability to, filter down to certain records or test cases or like things like that, as opposed to just debugging, a block of code or, figuring out the errors later down the line as you start building the dashboard. So, yeah, that's kind of how we're thinking about the trust piece. And then, I mean, for adoption, I think you asked about. Um, this is more like my personal perspective that I do see a lot of like top level mandates, at companies that everybody has to be using AI. Like even hearing about, like maybe this is like a corporate thing, but like a leaderboard of who's using it most or whatever. And I think that like it's good to have like top level support for these AI initiatives, but just from being in some of these communities, I feel like it's also important to listen to the individual contributors, and listen to their concerns, because it's like not every single project needs AI.
Mm.
Not every single effort, and the like, even just talking broader than data, I think there's still projects and efforts that are worth doing without AI to kind of, give a unique perspective if you're writing something or whatever. So yeah, I think that like we've swung a little far in the like AI everything
Mm.
direction. And um, yeah, I think for
Yeah,
adoption, you got to be like a little more realistic on where it's useful.
it's a common theme that I'm hearing, not just you, but in general, the audience. I've currently working with my partner, business partner, and essentially we are thinking about analyzing their processes. Do we use AI, or do we use a rules-based processes that automates using machine learning? And
Right.
then this would be a step-by-step. So I guess if they adopt a hierarchical approach and a logic-based practice, I think they'll be fine in
Yeah.
retrospect.
Right.
What?
It's not like every problem you want like a probabilistic, solution that can change. That's not the
Mhm.
right thing for every problem.
I'm glad you said probabilistic. People don't know LLMs uh, or is math. It's predicting the next word based on what the input is. So if you don't have those features built in, obviously you're gonna get slop. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh, what separates a strong data community from one that just pushes marketing content?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of like true for all communities. Like, a good one is one that provides actual value to its members, not just value for the company. Like I would say marketing is valuable to the company to get people to buy your stuff, but like a community that provides actual value is, setting up networking, setting up events, providing opportunities for upskilling and like free content for learning and things like that. So a place where people can connect with other users and get some value in learning and upskilling for themselves, and maybe eventually getting certified or sharing their best practices. So it's things like that that kind of separate out a good community.
And obviously, if you don't have this community, these people will go to other resources like courses, mini courses. Um, how important is community becoming for the modern data companies?
Yeah, I don't know. I think as it gets easier to like learn and adopt tools and software with AI, um, I think it'll be just like more important for connections with people to grow your career. Like, I don't know, potentially everybody will be able to use the same tools or be able to code to some degree.
Mm.
Um, but like to actually, move up, you're going to need to be good at um, either communication and like growing as an individual contributor, or like forming those relationships and mentoring and becoming a manager. And so I think that like, um, yeah, communities are helpful for growing those connections, for sharing use cases, ideas, things like that. Where AI is just going to give you, if you're just like using an LLM to brainstorm, let's say, it's going to give you like the like aggregate of every answer on the internet versus like
Yeah.
a human on a community saying like, oh, I like use my brain and solve this problem in a really creative way, or I like did XYZ, and like from my experience I found value in this, like learning from people's experiences. So that's what I'd say.
You reminded me of a joke or a meme. Like, if you want to get responses for your, let's say, if you post let's say, a question and you don't know the answer, and you put in the wrong answer, people will respond trying to correct you, and you'll get the answer. I think that's
Yeah,
the best way to utilize the community, and and
totally.
also and also when I speak with companies, customers, clients, they tell me, how do I get informed? How do I get uh, like learn about the best new um, data processing LLMs? I tell them, I'm part of the community, LinkedIn. I talk to
Yeah.
individuals. So I think what Prophecy is offering could grow into that perspective.
Yeah, totally. And I agree, like LinkedIn can be really helpful, especially if you kind of curate your feed to be following more people in data, more people talking about AI. It's like a really easy, quick way for me to like stay up to date, because I have my people that are telling me what's new and what I should care about. So, and it's fun too, because then you can comment and interact with people. So, yeah, definitely agree.
I'm curious about when you were at Alteryx. You worked as a data journalist and senior content manager. What exactly does a data journalist do?
Yeah, I did get that question a lot when I was in that role because it's kind of a unique title. I don't know if it was the title that made the most sense for what I did, but basically what I was doing was managing our technical community blog. So it's like the blog editor, as well as, one of the writers. So I was writing, how-to articles, use cases, articles about our products, as well as like reviewing articles written by community members, by Alteryx users, to publish on our site. So that's like kind of where it started. And then I ended up eventually taking on hosting the podcast and creating content for that as well. And that's kind of where it went into with the senior content manager role.
What did you learn from that opportunity, like that you're currently using now, from engagement from users and professionals and managers, directors? What did you take from it?
Yeah. I learned a lot, especially from hosting the podcast, from having some more like in-depth conversations with our users, with some like thought leaders, with, people at all levels, I would say. I wrote down a few of the takeaways. They're kind of all over the place, but like, I feel like the number one thing that kept coming up on the podcast was like, it seems basic, but like really understanding the problem you were trying to solve and the business problem you were trying to solve before embarking on any sort of data project, any sort of AI project. Like, it's easy to jump to a solution, especially when you're being incentivized to use AI or whatever. But it's just like not going to work out if you're not solving that core problem. And like, there are simpler ways to do it often. Like you brought up, like a rules-based thing, like sometimes like keep it simple until you need to like make it more complex. Don't over engineer things. But yeah, the business problem thing kept coming up, and maybe that's gotten better as it's like people understand AI better, but I don't know, that feels like the hardest part of a lot of data projects. Like, how to make a pipeline, but how do you like really understand the complex inner workings of this supply chain or this tax process? That feels harder to me. Yeah, and then some other ones. I would say I was surprised sometimes by how outdated the technology and processes are at large companies, or just at companies, like especially working at a startup. You think, oh, everybody's like, there's new models all the time, everybody's using the latest, and it's like, oh no, there's like hospital analysts that are using like crazy interfaces that look like they're from the 80s, and like there's people using Microsoft Access as their database. And yeah, that was kind of surprising, like and interesting. You're shaking your head, assuming you've experienced that.
I agree with you. I've worked at a tech company that didn't have a process in place for data governance, data quality. Everything started from scratch. Standards were not up to par. But yeah, it's a company in California. It's a surprise. But yeah, I was brought in and help assist them and get them to the modern age. But yeah, startups are more nimble, and companies are tied to bureaucracy, middle managers, and so those prevent innovation. And then if you're working government, companies or departments have a say in what technology that can come in and out. So it is frustrating, but understandable. Alteryx has a very passionate user community. What do you think people connect so strongly with that ecosystem?
Yeah, I think during my time there, I saw how the product really helped people really change their careers in advance. Heard lots of stories of people that got their hands on Alteryx, were able to automate processes, were able to get to the answers faster, able to save hours and hours of Excel work, things like that. And that really creates a lot of loyalty, because it's like, it's not just a product, it's like a solution that improved their career and sometimes even improved their life, because it's like, I don't have to work late during closed period anymore, because I have my process, my data process that I can run. and I'm not, messing around with spreadsheets for 50 hours the last week of the month or whatever. So, yeah, I think that's why people are so passionate. And there's a lot of just really kind people on that community who like to give back, like to answer questions, like to help other people, because of how much Alteryx has helped them. So, yeah.
Yeah, if a technology can reduce my weekend vacation, then
Yeah.
it's a winner. It's a winner.
Right. Right. I feel like it's especially in finance. Like some of
Yeah.
those tax audit records, I don't know the most about finance, but man, they can be so manual or just like so time intensive. Um, so data tools that can automate that and streamline that and that you can use the next month and the next month, are huge. So,
Yeah, that product is amazing. It can do transformations and does a connector with a sync and then load it into the destination, which is very easy, very low code, no code solutions for people.
mhm.
So, how did you experience that Alteryx change the way you think about analytics accessibility?
Um, excuse me. I think just I saw how powerful it is to put like the data prep and analytics into the hands of the spreadsheet users and the business users. That can really allow teams to get the data they need, at the right time, and to kind of like be in charge of like the logic themselves, the transformation logic that they know because they know how tax works or whatever. So,
Hmm.
um yeah, I think that it just like made analytics more accessible to the business side of the organization as opposed to being like locked down in the data teams,
Hmm.
which I mean, pluses and minuses. It's not like all the IT and data people love that the business is creating all these Alteryx workflows and has these files they're sending around and like is exporting things from the database. So, pluses and minuses there, but I think that it made it a lot more accessible across organizations.
Agreed. I you work with technical users and business audience. Where do you think is the biggest communication gap that still exists today?
Yeah, I think hopefully this doesn't sound too repetitive of my other answers here, but I think that it just can take a lot of time for a technical user to understand the business problem. Like,
Hmm.
at Stanley Black and Decker, it took me a lot of time to understand like the ERP setup and why we had all these products that had slightly different names but were the same product, and like what the true problem was when we were trying to, you know, look at these different supplier metrics, etc. It's like just that takes a lot of time, and then it can be hard for the business side to understand uh, the time that goes into like creating a good data solution that'll last. People kind of like want the answers today in a spreadsheet, um, which I understand, but like I don't know. I think that's a pain point on the data side. Is it's not a sustainable process. It's not gonna. I can't just get you this data at 4 o'clock and use the spreadsheet you want, kind of thing. So
So, transitioning to
yeah.
your career, what has been the hardest professional transition in your career so far?
Um, I think just like from my first job, from college to my first job to data was hard. Like I think I mentioned college was really broad. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I ended up doing technical consulting for a bit, which just wasn't really what I thought it was, and it wasn't a good fit for me. And being a consultant when you're 22 is kind of weird. Like,
I
who
agree.
said that makes sense? So yeah, that was just like really stressful for me. So like, it was a good pivot into data, but it was just kind of hard to figure that out and feel like, oh, the first job I had was only 5 or 6 months. Like that wasn't exactly what I wanted for myself, but we got there eventually. So that was just kind of a hard time to figure out what I wanted. And even since then, like each job that I've had has been different, but all in the data field, which I have decided I enjoy.
Funny you mentioned that. People that started consulting as like EY, Deloitte, top four,
Hmm.
they are new out of college, and they're just like building PowerPoints, speaking with the client already. So it is a rapid. If you're doing consulting, it's like a sink or swim type of environment where you have to solve
Yeah.
for the clients. So I commend you. Very first
Well,
goal to do consulting. That's not easy.
yeah, and it was like it helped with like a skill that I've used at every job and in college, which is, basically like teaching myself something so that I can teach it to other people. But I just don't like doing that like under pressure at a client. I don't like that. But in general, it's a good skill and I'm comfortable with like learning how to do something on my own so that I can like show others how to do it, but not great under time pressure.
If you were to give advice to someone starting out like you, trying to break into data or analytics today, what would it be?
Yeah, I think honestly, there are like a lot of good content creators and thought leaders on LinkedIn and YouTube um, that I think could probably answer that question better than me. Like people create really good stuff for free about, here's how to break in, here's advice for your resume, here's um, tips and tricks. And like before people, I would just recommend before people jump into like paying for some big course or doing something, like see what's out there on YouTube, see what you can do for free to kind of make sure it's what you want to do. And then maybe you like um, pay for a course or figure out how to get some more experience. If you have any job experience, I think you can do data analytics where you are right now. Like everybody interacts with data somehow. So if you're already like, let's say, a office administrator or something, I'm sure there's spreadsheets that you can improve or automate or streamline or things like that. So that's my other thing, is just kind of building that portfolio where you are right now. And if you're a student trying to get your hands on some good real world data, whether that's like volunteering at a nonprofit or using data sets that aren't just clean ones from your school, but building some more real portfolio projects.
Got it. And what are you currently excited to learn about? What are you learning in your current path in the data world?
Yeah, I mean, right now I've been like enjoying learning more about Claude and Claude skills. It's kind of fun to see what's out there on GitHub and what people are creating and doing and sharing. So been using some Claude skills for like different marketing things, and in seeing just like the power of that is fun and exciting to play around with and pretty easy to get started. So that's what I've been enjoying learning about.
Yeah, I'm currently using Claude, but this is the first time I learned about the skills, uh, the instructions. So very different because the way I do it is, I just prompt it and then I work, but then you have the tree where it hosts all these documents, and each agent has a role. So it's very hard to stay on top of these things.
Yeah, I think it can be, but it can also be uh I don't know, I feel like it's not too hard to go from like 0 to 1 or 1 to 2, like with, you know, it's not as hard to make your own agent as I thought it would be. I'll just say that. It's like giving it all the context, bringing in skills that other people wrote. Like it's fun to play around with, but there are a lot of tools. I get that it's overwhelming.
Yeah. Codex, and then you have Claude Desktop. It's
Yeah.
like, which one? Which one? What keeps you optimistic about the future of data and AI?
Um, I think that like it makes me excited to think that companies can and individuals can just like solve harder data problems faster with AI, and like get rid of some of the really painful stuff, like bringing together really different data sources, dealing with when data changes, like the nitty gritty stuff that used to give me headaches, as a data analyst. Makes me excited that that whole experience could be improved with AI. And I think there's just like an opportunity, kind of like we talked about earlier, to like really successfully democratize analytics and data across companies with AI. I think it's exciting when everybody feels empowered to like be able to use data or be able to analyze data in their role, whatever that. It looks really different for different roles, but I think that that's exciting to like empower more people.
Megan, where can they find you personally and professionally? Do you have any social sites or handles that they can see your product demos, your articles, and community contributions?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would love for people to subscribe to the Prophecy YouTube channel. That's where you can see like my demos and demos from other people on my team. Um, and then I think I already mentioned like the community that I manage through Prophecy, and then just the other way would be LinkedIn, where you can find me there. Maybe we can link it in the show notes or something. But I post pretty regularly on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to connect with anybody.
Awesome. Awesome. Any events coming up for you? Uh, will you be on the road to visit these special summits or AI conferences?
Yeah, I'll be at the Databricks Data and AI Summit mid-June. So if people are there, come by the Prophecy booth. I think that's pretty much where I'll be. But I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be my first time at the Databricks Summit, so should be
Awesome.
fun.
Awesome. I'm we'll love to, yeah, we'll love to see you take pictures, show us your contributions. That'll be great. Megan, it's thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast. Thank you for sharing insights and your past experience in Alteryx. And now with Prophecy, we look forward to more showings in the upcoming months and this year. We'd love to learn more, and we also love you to have you back to talk about the growth of Prophecy. So we'll keep a note on that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds great. Thanks, Henry, for having me.
No problem. Any additional? Thank you, Megan. So this wraps up today's episode. Any guest or information, please visit us at orlandoinsightgroup.com. You can show us our YouTube and Spotify page for previous guests. And you have a good one. Take care. Bye.
Thanks. You too.